Hey, we are here. I'm so excited. I've already got Mr. Whiskey and Imani in the house already. Welcome to the virtual water cooler
Please
live.
acknowledge all guests.
Oh, whiskey shot in the picture there. This is our little piece of the internet where we just gonna our corner, I guess. Where we just it's a virtual water cooler. Literally, I don't know what was gonna come out of Mr. Whiskey's mouth.
Steve has
Because
never once provided water for anyone in these calls. That's all I'll say. It's the
the
driest
virtual
water cooler I've ever been to.
just
Thank you.
the virtual cup being handed to you
Okay,
there.
thank you.
There
This is
you
like the
go.
Olympics of Zoom calls.
Awesome. Grab a glass of water.
That I think it was vodka. Well, anyway, ladies and gentlemen, Steve, I wanted to do something to help you out, to acknowledge you for what you're doing, which is showing up every single day on Instagram. This has changed my whole world of engagement, and I figured we could farm some social media clips from this episode, and whether that was dropping a few jokes or a serious conversation snippet, I said, let's make his social media clip today with him.
Oh, that's interesting because I have a thank you for that for a start. I am repurposing and putting some stuff on LinkedIn. So if you're not an Instagrammer, that's fine. But it is a group of us getting together to do post every day. So in Instagram, which is new to me, different animal in terms of just what you do. But I like exercising the muscle.
Coach Wright believes that if you comment on a post, you also like it, but you don't. They're two different functions, and you have to do each of them individually.
Oh, okay. I see. I'm learning. I'm learning stuff all the time, and also and making a meaningful comment. That's another thing. It's not just saying nice, but actually saying something that means something. So on that note, and it means
comment was Justin Workman said I needed professional help, and Steve Wright said yes. Praise hands emoji. That was his meaningful comment, ladies and gentlemen.
No, it's taken totally out of context, but there you go.
That was the exact comment that was in reply. And then he also liked Jay Bush's joke, which was, how do you make an egg roll? You push it.
That's a good one. That's a good one. That's a good one because you're thinking,
oh, that was your joke for today.
Well, great. Actually,
you got to think of another one.
I had a backup one.
Yes, that's why we told Steve to have a list of like 10 different topics, because what if there's another guy at the party just as handsome, same beard, bald head, glasses, maybe a bigger hat from a bigger Justin Workman, and he has a joke that is the exact same one as Steve Wright's. You have to have a backup option, and you have to have a backup in case some other guy has that same backup, or some other gal. You need to have at least 10. I told you, Steve, at least 5. But I think 5 is kind of dangerous, especially if you're at an event with multiple people. And people are always going to ask for an encore. So you need at least, you need a couple. So
there you go.
Mr. Mise en Plus himself, Steve Wright, what joke did you bring for us today?
Oh, you see, you set me up. You set me up for the fall, right? You're talking about the number of jokes you have to have in your pocket, in your reservoir, just in case somebody drops a joke. And I rocked up. It's like I went to the wedding with one pair of socks on. So, it's like, I didn't wear 4 socks. So, in case I got cold feet. See, I'm bringing up your nonsensical joke that didn't make any sense the first time.
That one again.
But I don't know if I probably did this one. I may did it somewhere else.
I will hold you accountable if you've done it.
Yeah,
I have that nuclear memory. Trust me.
A horse walks into a bar.
You already did it. You did it 2 episodes ago.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You see, that's the beauty of humor. If you've already made the connection to the punchline, just the start of the story gets you to that different ending. And it's a lot like life. Sometimes you don't know. Sometimes people are giving you the story, and you want to know what the punchline is. And sometimes people are giving you the punchline, and they assume you know what the story origin was.
I'll take it one step further, Steve. Sometimes someone's telling a joke and you assume you know it and what the ending is, and you make a fool out of yourself because they were saying something else.
That's right.
You could have said the horse. I assumed you were saying the horse had a long face, but maybe the bartender said, horse, you have a long fill in the blank. You know, that could have been the joke you were going for.
Mane, tail, legs.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's stick with that.
So, well, actually, is the joke I was gonna tell that you interrupted was that
Yeah, didn't let him finish.
a horse walks into the bar. A horse walks into a bar, and orders a pint of lager, and the barman says that'll be £15, please. The horse goes, whoa, for a pint of lager. He goes, yep. So the horse gives him the money, and he's drinking his lager, and the barman turns to him and says, we don't get many horses around here. And the horse says, at these prices, I'm not surprised. Don't be giving
I would need you to explain that. That one just seemed like just a regular story. I'm sorry.
Okay, there you go. Anyway,
was that some kind of British humor?
I don't mind the frivolity of my water cooler turning into a joke fest. This is Mr. Whiskey's way of practicing his material before he goes before he does his comedy.
Hold on, we gotta backtrack, Steve. Hold on, you can't just blow over that joke because you could have used that with a person, right? I mean, you could have said anything. We don't get a lot of customers around here. Yeah, those prices. Is the joke? What did he order the wrong thing, or is the joke just that the drink's too expensive?
The joke is that horses don't drink lager. So the barman's saying we don't get many horses around here.
I don't know what Largo is. So
lager is beer. It's a beer. It could be beer. I say lager because it's
lager. Oh, okay.
Cheap beer.
The way you were saying it, the British accent. Okay, I got it.
Again, then I've got to make sure the joke travels. That's another thing in humor. Make sure the joke travels, because sometimes the joke doesn't travel, and you end up with
I think it was
egg on your face.
I think Seinfeld was doing baseball jokes in Britain and no one got it, and then he switched to cricket and people got it, or something like that. You know, like when it comes to something more
a bat and a ball
specific to the culture.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. I'd be interested to know how Seinfeld turned a baseball joke into a cricket joke just by changing the sport.
Y'all will have to fact check that. I'm pretty sure it was him, but I remember hearing, if not, there was a comedian who was like, the baseball jokes just did not land at all. I guess he was striking out.
I should have I do have on my mixer. I should get some.
You have a soundboard?
Soundboard, yeah.
See, I said we should get one. Like
that would be cool.
So I made a joke this morning. I'm not sure if it's the best. I made it up while I was walking down the stairs to come here. So let me think. Did you know that even? No, hold on. Just forget it. I'm gonna. I was like,
you see now when you're in.
Did you hear about? Okay. I don't know. Did you hear about Mr. Proton and Mrs. Neutron's divorce? They decided to split, and it was a messy aftermath. I don't know. I was trying to make nuclear jokes on the way home.
That was too. I was
thinking. I was like, I want to make some nuclear reactor jokes for Steve to be in my niche, but all the other ones I had, you have to like really know nuclear atomic science to get them.
Yes.
For example, I wanted to say, me. I was gonna say something like, me and valence shells kind of have a lot in common. We both attract a lot of unstable electrons, or like you know, like. I was going in that state. But if I want to take it a step further, me and nuclear reactions have one thing in common. We both leave daughters in excited states. That one, if you don't know what a daughter is in nuclear science, I can't explain.
See, this is where I would have the soundboard that says nerd. See, that's why we need a soundboard, because I would have pressed that immediately.
Only person here without glasses, but I'll let it slide.
There you go. That's fine. So
geek.
apart from bad jokes, how's your week been since we last caught up? And let's get a soundbite for a post. We should have something deep and meaningful, or something light and
frivolous. Oh, your horse joke already made the social media.
I don't know if my horse joke's going to make it. Did you?
Well, my caption for it is going to be, does anyone else get this joke?
Yeah. There you go. I was gonna say there's another one. Two peanuts got mugged the other night. One was assaulted.
Okay.
I like that one. That's a good one.
Good.
Always good. I like that one.
The key with the delivery is I should not laugh because it's serious. Two peanuts got assaulted.
Well, here's the thing, Steve. It's hard not to laugh at your own joke. Every time I say two blondes walk into a building, I'm like trying to hold myself together. I'm like those unstable electrons.
Yeah.
I'm just looking for balance.
So this
guy goes to heaven and he sees that there's all these they're kind of like clocks almost, and each of them is ticking away at a different pace. So he says to the angel, "What are these devices?" And the guy goes, "Well, these are all the people down on earth, and each tick is when they sin." So as you see here, we got, Mother Teresa's clock is barely moving. You've got this guy in Brooklyn, it's kind of moving. And he goes, "Well, where's my clock? I'd love to see, how my life is." And they said, "Well, we keep it in the break room as a fan."
Oh! My mind, you had to get that. It's spinning so hard. Well, why is he in heaven?
By the way, you took the wrong exit.
So all that to say that humor is an essential part of one's day. If you don't laugh at least a dozen times in a day, I mean, people say you gotta laugh.
And obviously, you're not listening to this show.
Well, yeah, this show is not funny whatsoever. But if you've got things in your day, that don't make you laugh, then you've got to find some humor, not deprecating in terms of laughing at someone's demise or misfortune, but just finding the humor. Humor is unique to people. I don't know if animals, I think the chimpanzees exude humor. They have motor neurons. They have
they
gestures,
definitely do, because we've seen monkeys and gorillas that are tamed in certain places perform pranks. So why would you perform a prank if you can't understand humor? And they kind of laugh. They have a smirk they make. At least I've seen some videos online. So
yeah, it's funny. A friend of mine, actually, he'd clicked. They said he might come. So I'm going to mention him anyway. Jeff Ross, Syverson, the UK guy, awesome buddy of mine. Our company sponsored a monkey sanctuary in the UK, because you're not supposed to keep primates, but people do, and they smuggle them in from Europe and stuff. And there's a kind of a retreat for rescued primates. And the interesting thing, we got a behind the scenes tour of the park that they were in. And one of the things that the gamekeepers told us is, don't bare your teeth. Don't, if a monkey shows their teeth to you, they're not smiling. It's either an act of aggression or an act of fear that they bare their teeth. Because people really misguide that and think, oh, that's a cute monkey, and I smile at the monkey and I show my teeth, and you end up with a nightmare.
So down here in the South, women will show you their teeth to show you how many they have left, to show their wealth class and how much sweet tea they consume.
No way.
No, that was a joke.
Okay.
Well, okay. I mean, there are a lot of,
Imani, jump in anytime to make this conversation more meaningful. Okay.
In the South, there are a lot of people missing their teeth from Skittles and sweet tea and good
mosquitoes.
What do you mean, Skittles? They're worse than M&Ms. M&Ms are better than Skittles.
I thought you said Skittles.
Skittles?
I thought you said Skittles.
Well, we call them mosquitoes, skeeters.
I thought you said mosquitoes too. You mean Skittles?
Well, we also have mosquitoes in the South. They're everywhere.
Yeah. Right, but mosquitoes don't make you lose your teeth, do they?
But well, if you constantly consume them, and they had taken the blood out of a person with diabetes or high sugar or whatever it is, that blood is much sweeter, and it can rot your teeth if you consume enough of these mosquitoes. See, you can never catch me wrong. I just proved that mosquitoes can destroy your teeth, and that was all me. Bob Ross said happy accidents, and that's what that was.
That was not even close to being that wasn't even close to being happy or an act. That was just you.
Anyway, I have a Bible quote to share. So I was thinking of it. You talked about humor healing, and it's actually biblical from Proverbs. A cheerful heart is good medicine, but a crushed spirit dries up the bones.
Yes.
I remember that one. I couldn't remember where it was from, but
yes, definitely. I am a advocate of maintaining a cheerful heart, even in the craziest of circumstances.
But also, it was just Purim, and I did a solo sermon on that. Y'all should check it out if you want to understand. If you are a believer and you're like, what is this Purim? Is this some kind of Jewish holiday? It's for all believers. I have a sermon about it, and it's a pretty good time.
All right, cool. Then that's definitely. I commented on that. The Book of Esther is one of my favorite books.
You did.
For
that has a lot of humor in it.
For various, it's got a lot of irony in it. That's for sure. But I'm not going to spoil the plot for it. It's not a big read. It's a good book.
Hundreds of years later, spoiler alert.
It's a good book. It's a good book for lots of reasons. So I'll leave that where it's at. But so yes. So what, Imani, what have you been up to?
Dealing with him.
It's a full-time job. No pay or benefits though.
As far as, well, just work. Regular. It's not, well, I work from home, so it's not really a regular 9 to 5, but either way, it's still good. Yeah.
What's been a challenge this week?
Technical difficulties, because I'm a graphic designer, so I basically do advertising and marketing for grocery stores. So you know how when you go to the grocery store, I don't know if they have it in the UK, and that probably seems like a very dumb question. I'm sorry. I don't travel a lot, as you can clearly tell, not yet, or outside of the US. But basically,
refuses to get her passport.
I've been procrastinating to get my passport. Trust me, it's not just him; it's my whole entire family, because we all want to travel. And that's not the point. The point is, we
gotta go to Jamaica.
I've been to Jamaica.
Come back.
Imani.
Basically, you know, when you go to the grocery store and you see like that little newspaper with like all the sales for fruits and meats and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So pretty much that's what I do. I make those pages on top of helping, and he's gone. Oh no!
My goodness!
Okay. You're back now. You're back now.
Steve went and ran to the grocery store to check the ads. But you know what you would have found in the grocery ads? You know, earlier I was talking about divorce. Well, on the flip side, why did one fruit turn down the proposal from the other? It said, sorry, I can't elope.
Can't elope. Can't elope. That's all down in how you pronounce it, but that's
I know that one I messed it up, but you know what I was trying to say.
So the design of the design of the grocery ads.
Yeah.
Like, so you change that every
also
so
like
often.
Helping out with the websites and everything like that.
Cool.
Keeping everything up to date. So that's pretty much what I do on a daily basis.
But Steve, if you want to know the truth about Imani's challenges this week and why I want to get really serious, how do we separate our societal expectations from the reality of our life? So the societal expectation is that you will have a loving father, mother, 2 sets of grandparents, and these siblings. What happens when we don't have that? And how do we move forward while trying to not pursue this pride from a family we don't have, or this love from a family we don't have? And how do we accept the family we make through virtual water coolers and through the neighborhood? How do we ever graduate or go to an event and not say, I wish mom or dad were here, or I wish that I had a mom or dad to be proud of me? And that was something that took me a while to work through. Like my mom doesn't say happy birthday to me. Steve Wright does. And it's great, but it hurts at the same time. And how do we navigate these emotions? Society says, based through TV and social media, like you're going to have 2 parents, siblings, grandparents, but that shouldn't be an expectation. That's just not reality. It's not realistic, but that's what they put forward. This is what you're supposed to have. And it leaves so many children longing for something that they were never going to have in the first place because of failed marriages, unexpected pregnancies, financial bondage, domestic violence, sexual assault, all this stuff in the world that is keeping that ideal family apart.
Yeah. The answer is Well, it's not even a mic. It's not even a mic drop. You ask the question, and my response is not necessarily the only answer, but one of the answers is found in the you got expectations on one side, which forces shoulds in our language. We should something, or it should be this way. Those shoulds. It's one thing if a should is optional. Should I get rice or pasta? That should is not necessarily going to be one way or the other. It's not an issue. But when the should is, I should really try and do something that is expected of me because society says so. That should can get you into problems because, as Tony Robbins says, you should on yourself, right? You basically you're setting yourself up for a sense of failure because you're setting expectations that are beyond you. At the time, they may not be beyond you forever, but they're beyond you right now. That's why you're shoulding them as opposed to doing them. My mom raised me single. I knew my dad. That it did create, I remember growing up, it did create some sort of awkwardness in school, my dad's better than your dad type thing. But at the same time, if there's no expectation being brought on top of a statement, you can let it sit. They can say that and it falls off my back. I went to South Africa as a teen. Hey, Annie. I went to South Africa as a teenager and was turned out of a shop, because of my color. And it was interesting because I was the only black in the group that went there, that traveled through. We went to, we were in Botswana and we drove to Johannesburg because we couldn't take the train because it's segregated or it was too expensive to fly. So we rented a car and drove, and we stopped off at a little country place. My first instinct is I look at the shop. Are there any black people in it? Are there any black people eating in there, serving, getting food? So I'm the last one to walk into the shop. We walked in there. Someone had to ask if I could come in. So these are all these shoulds from a guy growing up in London are being brought down on me in this instant. And I was able to buy the food in there, but there was a little area where you can sit and eat, and we didn't realize till we got into the shop that you can actually eat it in there. So rather than sit out in the heat, someone asked if we can go to the back, and they thought it was just the whites in the group. And when I joined them, they said, "No, you out."
Ooh.
And
wow.
And the thing is, there's again, I think of it now, and it's like, I know I thought of my 5 of my best friends or good friends from high school. And I thought if any of them were here now, they would have either died or been arrested or, whatever. They would have got beat up. There's stuff going on. If me, I took my stuff out, walked out the shop. So long answer to your long question is that expectations are everywhere. Everywhere. So we have to be mindful of the expectations we pick up. Ideally, they should be things that are coming from our values, not society imposing them on us. Mm-hmm. I don't mind shoulding myself from myself rather than being should on by somebody else. And there's a lot of people out there shoulding on people.
Mm-hmm. Steve, this really hits close to home because I had expected your horse joke to be funny, but I shouldn't have set that expectation.
We can never have a serious conversation, can we?
Annie, welcome.
Hi.
For that sense. Oh, 1 second. I'm just going to go grab something real quick. Okay? You guys talk amongst yourselves.
Maybe it's a horse or a logger.
What if he actually does bring a horse?
If he brings a horse in, that'll be that. Well, Ms. Cook, how's your week going?
It's been good, thanks. Yeah, lots going on.
Did you write any good stories this week?
I'm writing a book at the moment, so I'm 3/4 of the way through that. Been doing some work on that today. but doing some other stuff related to a speaking gig I'm doing at the weekend.
I thought he was about to come back with the horse mask that you can wear. I really thought you were about to do that.
It's better than that. It's better than that.
Oh, you got it. Good. I'm glad.
Here's a screenshot for you. This is
it's back to front.
Is it mirrored to you?
Yeah.
Okay, let me change my camera. Let me change my camera then. I thought I didn't think I'd be mirrored. But video mirror camera. There we go. Is that better?
Yeah, kiss it again.
A moral swerve.
A moral swerve. I haven't started it yet. And it came. I saw the bright purple pack. I thought, who's this? I know who this is. And I'm excited to start it. I'm going to tell you now. I'm in public. I'm going to read this in Jamaica.
Okay. When are you going to Jamaica?
I'm going to Jamaica this year.
Oh, you're gonna wait all year?
Well, it won't be all year. And my years are different.
12-week years.
Yeah, my years are different. My years run in 12-week sections. So I mean, it's already November. It's already October for me now. Week 10 of the calendar year is my October. So I've got two more.
Happy birthday, Steve. Yeah, we just missed your birthday.
I don't celebrate my birthdays in 12 weeks.
It was your 281st 12-week year birthday.
So, but yes, thank you so much, Annie. I really appreciate it. That's lovely.
That's a t-shirt for us, Steve. I was 12 week years old today when ...
12
I was 12-week years old today when, and I don't know.
Oh, it's kind of like I was today.
Yeah, so there was a trend on the internet. It was like, I was today years old when I found out. And then usually it's something that people have known for a while, but you just only found out today. Like I found out today that horses don't like to drink lager.
There you go. They don't drink lager. Annie, do you have a joke?
No, and I just kind of I don't know. I was kind of no, I'm not going to say it.
We're just expounding on the value of humor in our lives, making sure that we do have something that is funny. I did love your story that you shared, the whole drama about your getting to an appointment and the traffic warden.
Oh yeah.
So Annie being a writer creates vivid sort of I guess word pictures, right? That's probably the nicest way the most accurate way to say it.
Well, I think every writer is successful if they can write something that makes people imagine it or the place or being there in that place, being with those people. If they can imagine those people in that circumstance, then the writer's done the right job.
Yeah.
We should try it live on camera right now.
It's word pictures, and it's bringing other people's imagination to life and encouraging them to look at something from a different perspective.
Right. I'm not a fictional reader by nature, and that's an identity thing. You know, I say that because I've not historically read much fiction, but it's I will read this for a couple of reasons. One, because you wrote it.
I think you'll enjoy it. Actually, what it is, guys, is the story of a woman who comes home from work early one day, unexpectedly early, and she finds two intruders in her home. And what she goes on to do, how she deals with this, has very long-standing and very deep repercussions for a lot of people.
Wow.
And as the story unfolds, we see two perspectives. We see hers, and we see one of the criminals involved in the break into her house, and what she does around this circumstance has a huge impact on him. And I wrote him as a combination of a bunch of men I'd worked with. I used to be a prison psychologist, so I wrote him as true to form as I could. But that was what you've got there is not the original version of that book. The original version that I wrote was harder. It was harder. His language, he was harder. His language was a lot worse. And I literally couldn't get anyone to take that, to take it on. They didn't have the stomach for it back in the day.
President?
And yeah, it was just too much. Yeah. So I had to temper him down a bit, and it was rejected by everyone I sent it to. So I shelved it. And then I found a way to link it to characters in the Teapot Cottage series. So I brought it back out, but I had to temper him a lot to make him mainstream. So he still does a bit of effing and blinding, and he's still pretty rough around the edges, but I've made him nicer for public consumption. And this is what you have to do.
I have to do daily when I wake up.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, you haven't got the original version. You've got the polished version, but I think you'll enjoy it because it's the question on the front, isn't it? What would you have done?
Yes. Yeah. Where did this graphic come from? Because I've seen this. I was looking for a graphic for one of my whiteboard presentations, and I thought I
love how he says that when I said I'm a graphic designer.
I thought I saw this somewhere.
No, he's saying he's seen that image from a database.
And
I also do freelancing.
But yeah, anyway, but it's kind of, it was interesting. I think I saw this before I got the book, and I mean, I recognize that image. But anyway,
my graphic designer, I was very clear in my mind about what I wanted, and I gave the graphic designer the brief, and she came back with it in like 3 days. So
nice.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting, Steve, right? Because I emailed you several copies of my book that's coming out and the covers on it to get your opinion, and you never responded.
Oh, I apologize. Well, let's resend them.
I will
resend them, and I will respond. I mean,
thank you, Steve.
There you go. That's all I can say to that. I'm not shooting on myself about it. But that's not. I didn't know that about you, Annie. That you'd been a prison psychologist.
I'm a forensic psychologist by trade. Oh. I don't do it anymore, but I did.
How long have you been doing it for?
Well, too many years. I burnt out back in when would it have been? Probably around about 2016. Yeah, and I've done a lot of other bits and pieces since then, but I've always wanted to write. And I just kind of woke up one morning and thought, even if nobody likes it, even if everyone thinks it's a pile of shit, I'm just going to publish because you only live once. And I just thought it was worth a try. But, I get pretty decent reviews, so it's not that bad. But I just couldn't do that coalface work anymore, and it wasn't the work. I loved, because I latterly worked with families and children in crisis in the criminal justice system. But, I love the kids and I love the families and I love the work. And I even enjoyed working with the prisoners to a large extent, because that one-to-one interaction, you get to find out a lot about people. Basically, what it came down to was red tape, bureaucracy, so much shit you had to wade through before you could even start to help anyone. And I just didn't get the support. It wasn't there for me to do the work. So I just canned it. I had to, because my health was suffering. But I did manage to help a lot of people. So it was good. I really enjoyed it. I'd still be doing it if those issues weren't as bad as what they are. But, I remember once sitting around a multidisciplinary table full of people trying to save a family who were just totally embroiled in drugs and alcohol. Mum, dad, the kids, 3 kids in the criminal justice system, 1 in prison. We were trying to help this family. And I had a bunch of other people in the room with me from different agencies. Nobody would talk. Nobody would share their information. They were so busy ass covering. They would not breach confidentiality to enable anyone else to put their efforts in alongside that to try and help this family. And that happened so many times. And I just thought, if you've got to battle this hard just to save a life, with people who are actually supposedly trying to do the same thing, it's not working. And it was just one of the issues. But I didn't have support from the person who was meant, or the people who were meant to be behind me, making sure I was safe in the job, for one thing, and that I was supported adequately and being able to offload a lot of what I had coming at me. So it just kind of drove me. It's either like quit or hang yourself. So Max, just quit.
Wow.
So
Wow.
Here we go. Yeah, people don't realize how hard it is sometimes. You know, you see, like, I don't know what it's like in the States, but here you sometimes see there'll be a headline in a paper about this child who's been battered to death or starved to death by its parents. And then it comes out, oh, yeah, they were known to social services. And I just think, Christ, 15, 20 years on, they haven't learned a thing. This is still happening. And it's so hard to help people. And you think, well, why wasn't something done? That's one of the reasons why, because people are too busy looking after themselves to look after the people they're out there looking after, or trying to at least. So it got the better of me in the end. I think I'm too soft. I think I cared too much. I think that was the thing. So, I wasn't going to harden up. I didn't want to do that to myself.
Yeah.
So that's why a lot of people leave the military too, is because, like, you want to help people. They say stay in and be the change you want to see. There's always so much red tape or other people around you. You have such a limited impact that to get out, you can help so many more people. One frustration I've had is being the suicide prevention community being gatekeeping, in the sense that I've applied to talk at a lot of different conferences. I've been in published books about stopping homicide, suicides. I've stopped several suicides by myself. I've dealt with a lot of suicide during the military time, and it's gatekept. They say, well, Mr. Whiskey, you don't have these clinical degrees or doctoral degrees or whatever it is. And like, we only want these textbook psychologists. And I'm like, well, listen, I've probably stopped more suicides than these, or respectfully, these quacks you have, because all they're doing is copy and pasting and dumping all this information from books. Like, what I want to talk about is real lived experience. What I was pitching is how podcasting can be a super great platform for suicide prevention by highlighting guest stories, survivor stories, by sharing resources, by highlighting, nonprofits. And I got told from multiple conferences, no. And it's all this idea of, I'm going to say something as an unlicensed medical professional, and then someone's going to commit suicide or cause a suicide to happen, and then they're going to get sued. And it's like, it's really ridiculous, in my opinion.
It is. And I think that kind of goes to the textbooks we all learn from. I mean, I went to the university for 7 straight full-time years to get my master's degree in forensic psychology. I did a lot of work and I read a lot of textbooks, but at the end of the day, they're just tools.
Yeah.
They don't, you can't cut and paste a human life. You can't cut and play. I mean, there's no formula that you can apply to everyone, because everyone is different. And that's where you have to have a soft side. You have to have the empathy. You have to know how to reach people. And if you're working within a framework that doesn't make provision for that, it's never going to work, is it?
Right. Well, and they're taking the humanity aspect out of it,
Absolutely.
right? I know I had a guy on my show. He quit the hotline, one of the hotlines, because he had to read a copy paste script instead of being like, hey, I almost committed suicide twice. I'm a human being. I'm here for you. Like with the military, what I saw was we got ask, care, treat, which was great, but so many people skipped the care and went to treat. Here's military one source. Here's a resource. Here's the hotlines. Just throwing all these resources at a person instead of sitting down and saying, hey, I'm a human being too. I'm a sailor too. I'm whatever it is. And I'm here to listen to you and have that conversation. And like Steve Wright and I have talked before, everyone is saying check on one another. But when they check on one another, they don't actually want to have the bandwidth to have that conversation. They just want to say, how you doing? Okay, you're doing fine. Move on.
Well, here's the thing. The biggest thing that I learned in all of the years I was doing this, the decades I was doing it, and I didn't learn it from a textbook, it was that people don't want you to fix them. They want you to listen so that they can feel validated enough to fix themselves, because that's basically how it needs to work.
Yeah, it's sustainable that way.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask both of you, because you're working in environments and with people that are they're on acute spectrums, in terms of
very vulnerable.
Very vulnerable. And you mentioned burnout there, Annie, in terms of how does one, and this is, I'm asking a question because the term burnout is common and prevalent.
It's becoming a buzzword, and don't you hate that?
And when I talk to people, and you gave me the backstory, you didn't just walk up and say, "Oh, I left because of burnout." What are the indicators? What is the canary in the coal mine type thing that shows up for you? And these are the individual question, but for both of you, what shows up for you as an indicator that the needle is getting close to the red? What is it that shows up for you?
Well, for me, it was the ongoing frustration of not being supported to do what I knew I needed to do. And it's also that notice that comes to you that if your employers aren't supporting you, they don't care whether or not you're supporting the client, because how could they? And the whole bloody thing just collapses at that point, right?
Yeah, not supporting me, then you're not supporting who I'm supporting.
Yeah, we can't even practice what we preach in our own backyard. How are we supposed to go out there and help the vulnerable people? When I ended up being very vulnerable in the job, I virtually lost my health. No one gave a toss. And, I went off on sick leave because I had a physical health problem that was it was going to take a while to sort out. And while I was on sick leave, you'll never believe this, I received a letter saying that one of my work colleagues had filed a complaint because they suspected I was having an inappropriate relationship with one of my clients. Bearing in mind that at the time I was happily married for more than 20 years or whatever it was, and my clients were all kids. So I said to them, look, I'm on sick leave. What is this? They wanted me to go to a tribunal meeting. And I said, well, which client is it? I said, because they're all like 12. And it was just, I found out latterly that they wanted to close the system down, and they tried to subvert me in ways that took the pressure off them and took the potential labeling of them as being the bad guy for shutting this service, because it was a government-run initiative, this particular service that I was working on within the NHS, and they didn't want it anymore. It's a very, very long story, far too long for today. But essentially what they did was try and push me out by using all kinds of underhand tactics. And I said, well, I'm not coming into any bloody tribunal. Thanks very much. I'm off sick. I said, this can wait till I come back because I'm recovering from an operation. Hello. And then, before I even went back to work, they sent me another letter to say, oh, well, we've investigated this without you. And we've found that there's no case to answer. And I said, well, I told you that from the bloody get-go. You
shouldn't have raised it in the first place.
I'm not coming back.
You shouldn't have raised it in the first place. That's interesting. That's corporate gaslighting.
It so is. I mean, you don't even get a chance to fight your own corner, let alone anyone else's.
Well, they brought it up and shut it down, but the fact that they brought it up without checking first to only to shut it down,
and they did it while I was off sick. And I don't know whether you've noticed the same, Mr. Whiskey, but if you're working within a hard framework like the military, they're really intolerant of everything humanly connected. They just want facts. If they can't prove the facts, they either gnash their teeth and punish you anyway, or they let you off the hook, and there's never an apology. There's just no sense of the fact that there's been any kind of personal human impact on you.
I will say
you just can't keep sustaining that.
In the military and in the blue collar industry, at least the parts that I worked in, there was no accountability at all. There were several times where boss man accused me of XYZ. I produced photographic and textual evidence of ABC, and there's no apology. Just work harder. Or I often got, if you have time to prove me wrong, you have time to do your job.
Yeah, we were wrong.
I just don't have time for that. But Steve, to go to your particular question, I had recently thought about quitting podcasting, and the question I got proposed to the people I was talking about with this, they said, well, are you still passionate about it? Or has that passion been killed or died, and can it be resuscitated? So I think that's a good baseline. Interestingly enough, one of the most interesting stories about burnout that I had on my podcast was Ashley Dillard. She's a female firefighter, which we don't have a lot of those. So it was great to interview her, get that perspective. And I think she was more than halfway or around halfway or more towards that retirement package. And she quit. And I said, well, what was it? She said it was just mundaneness. She goes, I joined to do this firefighting, this heroic stuff. And she said, I got stuck doing paperwork every day, mountains and mountains of paperwork, and answering calls that weren't firefighting related. She said so many people called firefighters in place of cops or other services. And she goes, it was never real calls. You know, it was not like, and I blame television too. You watch Chicago, fire department, all these dramatic shows that really hype it up, and people would join wanting to do that, right? Just like people would join a Navy and like, this isn't Top Gun. This isn't, this is not what I thought. This isn't Full Metal Jacket in the arm, and I think that goes back to expectations. But, for me, what has been draining me is falling out with coworkers and a lot of hate comments. I get more hate comments than good comments on my content. And I know, especially my faith-based content, but, sometimes it's just, people just hate to hate. I posted a couple social media clips recently about Ken Kunken. He's a quadriplegic. He shattered his spine and his neck during a football incident when he was, in college, quadriplegic for life. And I posted clips about him telling about how he received that news, how it changed his world, how he overcame it. Later on, I shared a social media clip about he ended up having triplets through in vitro fertilization after 30 years of paralysis. And he loves being a father. That is the most challenging thing in the world as a quadriplegic, to father triplets. And people disliked, what would be the possible context or reason to dislike something like that, unless you're just a terrible person? And there are so many terrible people online just disliking or dropping the most obnoxious comments for no reason. And it's just, I know to ignore it, but it's hard when you read that and it really, I lament. That's why I have, where is it? You know what I'm pointing at? But the Hebrew up there says, which means weeping prophet. That I've got that, right over here. And,
that was a bit dramatic.
And,
I'm not going to do the same thing, by the way.
I was like, okay.
And I people will say, well, why are you a weeping prophet? Why do you lament this world? And because of all the sin in it. I hate sin. I hate that, we choose to rape and kill and steal from one another, that we choose to be so incompassionate, that we have all these systems that don't care about the people. And one of those things is all these, as we call them, trolls on the internet, hating for no reason. And I just don't get it. I like social media, especially like Instagram and maybe Twitter. There's so much racism, sexualization, violence for no reason. And you talked about not finding humor at depreciating others. And that's what most of humor is online nowadays, depending on what side you're on. We've been sitting here doing dad jokes, but a lot of the younger generations are growing up just absorbing nothing but it's funny if people are getting killed, or if it's racist, or if it's sexual, or it's just terrible. And, my burnout has been, going on 300 episodes here. In this, I had a young lady in Malaysia write in and say, this episode changed my life. Comments like that help me, but that's one comment compared to just all these dislikes and hate comments. Again, typically for no motivation other than just being awful. But it's hard not to think about those. You read it and you're like, I'm just going to throw this away. Yeah. But you're walking down the street later and you're picturing the YouTube comment section in your mind, and you're like, that person said, go back to milking cow udders, or that person's that one stuck with me, or that person just said, some of the ones on my, like I said, as soon as I post anything that's faith-based, it gets disliked within like 5 minutes, and I know that's the enemy, but the other stuff I don't get. Saying a quadriplegic had triplets, I hate that. I wish he was dead. I mean, why? What kind of human being are you?
Take a pause for a response, because Annie's got something she wants to say.
Yeah, it really stems from the fact that people have been so unhappy for such a long time. They're really resentful of someone else's happiness or someone else's good fortune. And, I've experienced it myself. We moved into this house, into this town last September. And I've got a lovely old car. I've got an old Mercedes CLK ragtop. It's 20 years old, nearly. But it was my dream car for years. And I worked my ass off for years to save up for that car and to buy that car. A few weeks ago, someone just viciously keyed it. Ooh. 3 times across 2 panels. No one else's car, just my nice old car sitting out there on the street. opposite a pub where people have been looking at it. I mean, the area we live in, it's pretty down and out around here in some respects. There are a lot of immigrants. Local people have dubbed this area as not very nice. I mean, as far as we're concerned, it's all right. It's quiet enough. House is lovely, you know, all of that. But someone decided that because they didn't have a nice car, they didn't want me to have it either. And that was just the exact same thing that you're talking about. It's a hatred, it's a resentful of anybody having something nice. If they don't have that themselves, they don't see why you should have it. And I thought, you have no idea how hard I worked for that car.
Yeah.
It wasn't just a gift that dropped out of the sky, this nice Mercedes car. You know, you don't know what I went through to get that. And yet you think it's okay to commit criminal damage against me because you don't have anything nice. That's your only motivation.
Yeah.
That's it.
And that happened in the military all the time. Chief would have an angry wife at home. So he says, no one's going home early. We're going to stay 2 hours late and you can all clean again.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, I had a military leader, worst leader I ever had. I went to him. I said, petty officer, we have enough people to do a better rotation so more people will get free time off. And he said, listen, I don't feel bad for y'all at all. I had to watch paint dry when I came into the Navy. Unless you had it worse than me, maybe I would feel bad, but I don't care about making your lives better.
It kind of goes to the question, and I saw a lot of this in the prison service too. A lot of the prison guards weren't very nice people, and there was this kind of power trip that some of them were on. And it goes to the question, I mean, what kind of person signs up for that career? What kind of person wants to go and boss other people around in the military and be that
usually
awful
people
to
who were bullied? It was usually people who were bullied because I had a master chief. I wear an anchor with 2 stars. My rank justifies everything I do. I don't have to explain myself to people of your ranking, you know. And we had a lot of the worst are we had military cops. Now some of them were great, nice people. The rest, you know, they thought they were Marine drill sergeants, but they were Navy cops. But anyway, you know, they would just be the smallest little guys with nasally voices who got bullied, and now they got the gun and the uniform, and they would just be like running a tight ship around here. It's
positions of power and authority, and they take it too far because they seem to feel that it's okay to behave towards people the way other people behave towards them. You know, there's an incredibly dysfunctional way of thinking. You would imagine
a toxic cycle.
Yeah, it is. But you would imagine
we see it in high school and the military, where the freshmen are abused by the seniors, and then the freshmen become seniors who then abuse freshmen, right? The freshman Friday. And in military, they would dog on the recruits, and then when the recruits got senior, they would dog on the new recruits. And it made this toxic cycle. And one of my buddies tried to break that cycle, and they threw him in with the recruits and dogged on him for trying to break the cycle.
This is the thing about, you would think, wouldn't you, that if you'd had a horrible experience, I mean, I was bullied at school and I had an incredibly dysfunctional home life too. But what that did to me, I decided that I was going to be a nicer person, and I was going to try and make sure that the people I had to deal with didn't have to go through what I did. So there are 2 schools of thought on that. But I just think this kind of toxic culture that's maintained. I mean, someone higher up the food chain is allowing that toxic culture to be maintained.
Right.
That's where it needs to stop. The fish rots from the head.
I was going to say there's a lot of good stuff here. I wanted to share something. What you just shared about your background shaping you to be different as opposed to perpetrating it.
It's a conscious active choice that everyone has.
Right. And we talked when we started this about shoulds, you know, Mr. Whiskey had that question in terms of, you know, if you didn't have two parents and four grandparents and siblings and a happy childhood and everying perfect, and yes, then everyone gave you that expectation. Society gave you an expectation, and you don't meet it, and you're shoulding on yourself. And we started in that space. I wanted to say something with regards to just, I mean, the keying of a car and the trolling online. It's interesting. Obviously, we're designed as social animals. That's our makeup. And if we don't have a way to articulate how we express ourselves, then we find maligned ways to do it.
Yeah.
Like trolling online, or someone coming out of a pub and thinking, yeah, Someone says nice car, and someone says nice car, and the other person assumes that they assume an image of the owner of a car based on the car, and they've got no idea. And it made me write down being real and knowing people, and that's partly why I do this every week. And Mr. Whiskey gave me a shout out for doing an Instagram challenge for 30 days of posting every day. But this weekly event has been going on for over a year and a half, I think. I mean, I've missed a few. And for me, it's about being real. It's about showing up. I mean, this is who I am. You meet me, this is what you get. And I'm okay with that. And to Annie's point, kudos for coming out of that toxic environment and going out and chasing a passion. Everyone goes chase your dreams, but actually executing on that regardless of the outcome, because it's something that's in you. If you squeeze an orange, you get orange juice. You don't get pineapple juice, right? So what's in you is writing. And if it's in you and society squeezes you, what comes out of you is a book, because you're a writer, right? So it's important for us to show up real. And if the person knew who owned the car, they would not have let someone key it. It's the anonymity that creates this image of the enemy.
It's the keyboard warriors and everything too. You know, they're doing it.
Well,
what they say to other people or about other people. You would never go and knock on someone's door and say that, would you?
Never.
Not in Polk County, Florida.
Lose all your teeth, but I mean, they feel the safety of the distance and
right. Well, that's what I talk about. I kind of mentioned it in my book, God versus the Indomitable Human Spirit, coming out soon. I talked about how people are so different once they get in the car. Once they have that shield around them, you look at road rage from some of the nicest, sweetest old ladies who, they get on the road and suddenly, they're killers. Like road rage is like you'll give the finger to people who, I love watching videos. Like I watched a video the other day where this woman, she was trying to fight this woman. She's like, get out of the car. The woman got out and she was 6'8", and the woman was like, okay, never mind. You never know who's in the car.
That's right. You don't know who you're picking on.
Especially in America. I live in a state where anyone can have a firearm. So I assume everyone has at least 3 on them. I'm paranoid. Be safe, right? You assume everyone has 3. If you assume they just have 1, you might get caught. So that's like, so whenever I'm driving, I'm like, looking, like, is it worth my life? Because that's the way it carries. And just it's interesting you talk about like assuming stuff about the car owner because of the car. So my first car was 20 years old, 300,000 miles on it by the time I got through it. It was a minivan. And I got it because most people in the military didn't know how to drive or didn't have a driver's license, right? They just said, I'm going to the military, I'm not going to learn how to drive. And so I had to drive a lot of people around, and I had to move almost 7 times. So it was functional, it was practical. But I got made fun of for that, and it was like, oh, are you a soccer mom or blah, blah, blah. Why do you have a minivan? You're banging girls out in the back of it, to be crude. That's what I got accused of always. And here's the thing. Most of the people who made fun of me also couldn't drive or had a driver's license. So to borrow I don't support Andrew Tate 100%, but to borrow one from him, I would say, what color's your minivan? Andrew Tate would say, what color's your Bugatti? People made fun of the color of his Bugatti. I said, what color's your minivan? I would say, the worst is like when people were making fun of me for some of my singing practice videos. It wasn't professional singers. And it wasn't people it was people who couldn't sing or had like a very crappy Spotify or SoundCloud album. It was always like, hate always came from below. And we've talked about this before, Steve, where people who are successful, when they see your content, they won't say it's cringe, it's bad, kill yourself. What they'll say is, hey, I remember when I was here, here's some things you can do to improve it. Like people, and that's why for a long time, I had all comments disabled on all social media platforms, because I said, people who are full of hate, they don't really like to take too much effort though, right? They want to just drop the comment and leave. But if they can't, they're just going to swipe, right? But people who want to give that good feedback, they'll say, okay, let me find this guy's email or how to contact him, and I'll go reach out to them, So, but I decided that it was costing me, according to technology calculations, about 30% reach. So I let comments back on Instagram. I have only people who follow me can comment. I don't need all these people who don't follow me, who don't find value, to just drop hate. But YouTube is different. YouTube is anyone can comment. And Steve, do you get any hate comments? Or are you so good looking that no one bothers you?
I was going to say about that. I don't follow my analytics at all, which
I don't.
which is kind of strange, because it's like, well, why are you doing all this stuff if you're not tracking your analytics? Don't you want it to grow? Part of me says yes, and part of me says I've got to show up on these platforms because other people do, and I trust the process will actually just brings more authenticity. But to your point, I wanted to answer specifically around the trolling, and I mentioned burnout, and you mentioned the question that was asked of you about podcasting is, where's your, is your passion still there, and is it still viable for you? And it sounded like your response was that the trolling has taken its toll.
Yeah, and then the falling out with other podcasters. This industry is like any other industry. You're going to bump into people who scam you for money or waste your time, or repeated no-shows really just waste your time. But for me, what helped me get out of that was the less I podcast, the more my passion for it fades. And when I have back-to-back days where I'm having these good connections, I'm like, yeah, this is why I do it. I enjoy the conversation. These are good people. Any industry, you're going to have bad people, and you can't let them destroy what you like to do. My thing really is, my purpose is to glorify God and serve others. Each episode, I trust that he's going to take it to the right people at the right time, and I can't worry about everything else. So my job is to show up and do it. And so I still have a passion for it. It's changed from the beginning, going from something that was a hobby meant to help people to trying to kind of make it a business, to having to show up to all these industry spaces a certain way. I've had a lot of people try to brand or box me a certain way. So, there's a lot of factors that have affected it, but it's something that I'm, still doing. I'm going on about, I'll be hitting 300 episodes soon, which for those of you who don't keep up with the statistics, only about like 3% of all podcasters make it that far.
Wow.
Steve, where are you at? You over 100?
I'm still teaching just around the 100 mark. I was on a couple of shows as guest.
You were on that show twice.
I was guesting on a couple of places, and there's some people I want to be. I've dropped, and again, this is the burnout question is so relevant, because you have to have a canary in the coal mine. If you are you use the analogy of being at the coal face in your work, and it's admirable work, because what you're doing is saving lives, and it's again, the coal mine analogy fits because it's under the ground. No one sees it. They all use the coal from the bunker and keep their house warm and cook food, but they don't know where it came from, and it came from the face, where you are dealing with this stuff day in, day out.
Yeah.
And if you have no canary in the coal mine, you will die flat out. If you've got no measures that are sustaining you in the work that you do, it will take you out. So the point, and again, it sounds dramatic, but in our regular lives, there are indicators, whether it shows up in health, whether it shows up in relationships, whether it shows up in our mindset, whether it shows up in our energy. There are indicators. So it's important to know the canary that you have in your coal mine, using the analogy or the metaphor, and listen to the canary. It's like having a fire alarm in your kitchen. It makes sure it works. All right, because that's what it's there for. Don't set it off all the time, but make sure it works. So the burnout question was important, and making sure that we ultimately look after ourselves, because
it ties into expectations and shoulds, especially for podcasting, right? People have this expectation: I'm going to make $40,000 a month. I'm going to be like Joe Rogan, and my podcast is going to do this and that. Podfade, about on average 500 to 600 podcasters quit every single day, according to the Podmatch industry reports, and only about like I said, only a small percentage make it to 100 episodes. I think it's like only about 4%, because only 50% make it past 10 episodes, so, and that's not just for podcasts, but anything you do, you have these expectations of what it's going to be, like I thought to myself, making that pitch for the suicide prevention talk, like, this is great stuff. Like we're having such a personal impact, and every conference turned me down. Going into prison psychology, you're probably like, I'm going to help all these people. I'm going to help these broken families. And then you have all these people telling you, no, stopping your job. It's sad that, because what we're expecting is good, and then people are ruining it. But I think, for me, staying true and authentic to why you show up is important to avoid that burnout.
I think it's just keeping going. You just keep going, and you walk forward and let the shit fall off your shoulders, because you've got to be better than your critics, because they are not coming from a good place. I mean, constructive criticism is one thing, but trollers and haters and people who would love to see you fall because they can't get up, those are the people that you really have to just ignore and just keep on walking, and just keep the faith that even if they're not telling you, even if they're not declaring themselves as present, people still are listening, and they're watching, and they're getting something positive from you. They are showing up.
Yeah.
The fact that we don't know who they are or what form that takes is, sometimes it's really disheartening. But I just think to myself, well, bring it on, trolls. If you're going to say something nasty to me, I'm going to spin that. I'm going to put it back out there and get you to be accountable for it.
You got to be like Paul. Paul, he says, thank you for your feedback. Have a good day.
And it's like that cafe that has the sandwich board outside it and says, come and have coffee in the worst cafe in England.
Well, and I think, one thing too is I always say planting the seeds of a tree whose shade we will never sit under. And I use this especially in ministry, that work that I do. People want to see the conversion. They want to take the credit for it, see it happen, but it's God's, right? So I always say, like, my conversation with Steve Wright might not make an impact until he's dead, and I'm almost there too,
It's just keeping the faith.
Whatever faith you subscribe to,
you just have to keep that faith, and as long as the passion is there and the desire to do good stays true, just keep going. People do these things for different reasons. If you're doing it for money, then you do need the analytics. But if you're doing it for a passion, that's that's what you have to focus on.
The only analytic I keep, the reason I check the comments, is because I want to show up for the people who are positively engaging. Like, I've had some people, like, on addiction recovery stuff, be like, this was my journey. And I'm like, thank you for sharing. It's, they're talking about how God saved them, or they quit drugs or this and that. So I show up because I want to be there for the people who are actively engaging. And that means having to face those, jerks too.
Yeah. You're in the cold face. I was just gonna say that thinking about the car getting scratched and no concept of who owns it. Mr. Whiskey showing up in podcast spaces with an iconic look. I mean, I've consistently seen Mr. Whiskey is the cowboy hat guy. Okay. And and yes, and she's got a signature cap too. And Heather,
you're gonna have to go grab your hat. And you know what? And Imani always shows up with a scarlet red toenail polish.
Ooh, let's not go today. It's too late in there.
Do you see what it says?
Did you actually? Wow.
The foot pick lady. Wow. But I was gonna. But on a serious note, because the attention economy that we're in, the sound bite is ruling over nuance. It's ruling over connection beyond the surface. We have this veneer. If I would not mistake Mr. Whiskey if I saw him in an airport going to a conference. I'd see him from 50 yards away. And
I've been identified at airports and securities for
50
cruises
yards.
by people I did not know.
Head start. You can run at 50 yards.
Yeah.
I know, because I was at a cruise security line once, and I heard a guy yell across the line. I've never met this man before. Mr. Whiskey, that's you. I recognize you. And at first I had to be like, who is this guy? Like, do I need to go or do I need
that head start?
But David Goggins, he's one of my inspirations. He said something. He was like, all these people hating online based off of a 4-second reel you saw of me on Instagram. You don't know me. You don't know a thing about me, how hard I trained, how hard I worked. And so I always keep that in mind, along with, he says, I hear it all the time. People say Goggins has a great message, but you don't want to be like him. His body's all messed up. Well, guess what? I'm about to go do 4,000 push-ups, run 120 miles, and hundreds of reps at the gym. You know, you want to use whatever you can as an excuse to not have to do the work, right? Saying, oh, look at him. He's got bad knee, bad spine, and I can still outperform you. And I think about people who hate on my podcast. It's like, okay, what color is your podcast? Yeah. What color is your podcast? You know what I
mean? Mine has got to.
Where's your podcast?
Where's your podcast? But it's true that the soundbite economy, the quick assessment, the stereotyping, it's not that it's got to stop. It's just that we should not be afraid of a little bit more work to understand. It means asking a question and staying the extra 15 seconds to hear the
not
answer.
Assuming the punchline of a joke just because you heard the beginning.
Not assuming the punchline of a joke. On that note, we're at 1:10 past the hour for here. I'm gonna.
You're gonna end us with a joke, Steve.
Well, I no, because it's so strained. It's so strained for me to get. If you've got one on the tip of your tongue, then by all means share it. But
I have one from you.
Humor is best served organically, and humor definitely has a context. And if you take it out of that context, it can quickly devolve into a verbal abuse.
And on that happy note.
well, it makes
me
laugh.
This robber was cutting the letters out of a book, so you could say he knew how to context.
He knew how to.
He knew how to context because he was stealing. Never mind. Forget it.
All right. I had.
He was scamming them. He was context.
I don't. Yeah, there was a campground fire not far from me actually, and it took out like nearly half an acre, and the fire was intense.
There you go.
There you go.
Oh, okay.
Like intense.
It dropped.
Like it was intense.
Well, I don't know any clean jokes. I'm sorry.
Well, give us a dirty one.
Well, as long as you won't be offended.
And when someone prefaces a joke by saying "no offense," you know it's going to hit.
It's my hillbilly joke.
All right. Oh, hillbilly.
Hillbilly, yeah.
Don't point at me, Steve. Do not point at me. I don't eat mosquitoes.
Well, a hillbilly lad is busy banging away at his sister, and all of a sudden she starts to laugh, and he says, "What's so funny?" She says, "You shag like Dad." And he said, "Yeah, that's funny. That's what Mum says."
Okay.
It's really politically incorrect, but that's who I am. So.
All right. So that's another side. Prison psychologist, potty mouth comedian.
Potty mouth comedian. Author, I like that. Potty mouth comedian.
Yes.
Interview me as that, Steve.
Come back on. You're both invited whenever you're ready. And Imani, I would love to like to have a chat with you on a one-to-one thing, talking about what it takes to overcome the inertia to start a podcast.
Well, you can't do that until she starts her podcast.
No, we can do it. No, we can.
Where's my podcast?
What color is your podcast?
That's the first podcast. How I've overcome
there
my
you go.
fear.
I'm gonna schedule with you while I'm in Japan, and I'm gonna try to see if maybe I could set up like outside somewhere where you could see like something pretty awesome.
When do you go?
This weekend in a few days.
Wow. Okay. I'll be following.
Come back to Japan.
I'll be following you. I'll be following your socials, and yeah, safe travels. Japan from you'll go Pacific. You won't go Middle East. That's okay. Yeah.
I'm going from Florida to Texas to Tokyo.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So you're going Pacific way rather than Atlantic way. Yeah, nothing's going over in the Middle East right now, but that's for another show. Hopefully by next week we'll have better news from that part of the world. People
I don't know whether we will, Steve. I don't know if this is going to go away quickly. I don't think it is.
I again,
as long as they don't redraft me.
Okay. Can they?
But if they do, Steve, I'm gonna invoke the buddy system and say I got a guy who wants to go with me. His name is Steve Wright.
Yeah.
What's wrong with me? Why can't I go? I'd shoot people.
Oh.
Bad ones. I would shoot bad ones. I'd look after the good ones if I could, you know. I only shoot the bad guys. That's a good motto. I only shoot bad guys.
Are we there yet?
That becomes a moral swerve. Drop that.
Well pulled together. Pulled together. I like that.
Always come back to the book. Annie, always a pleasure, my friend. Imani, let's get you. Hey, if it's in your heart to do a podcast, let's unpack the obstacles, because the things you're facing are not unique to you.
Yeah,
right.
Just a perfectionist. That's all.
Again, nothing new under the sun.
So, Imani, if I can get in my car and do car karaoke to a podcast with the worst voice on the planet, if I can do that, you can do this.
What did you sing? Is this available on the YouTube? I gotta practice the comments.
It's on YouTube.
You'll find it on YouTube under Annie Cook Writer.
Okay.
Car karaoke. It's the most appalling thing I've ever done. And
I'll leave a positive comment.
Oh, thank you. It deserves to be buried, I think.
And then I'll log into my other YouTube account and leave a hate comment, so you get a bit of both.
No, don't do the hate comments, please.
My troll account.
Because I know where you are too, you know.
My troll account is a picture of Steve Wright, but it's AI generated.
Thank you. In a white cowboy hat. AI
yes.
Just the negative.
And you're missing a few teeth, and you're holding sweet tea with mosquitoes buzzing around it.
There you go. Because they rot your teeth, those mosquitoes.
That sounds perfect.
Mr. Whiskey, always a pleasure. Thank you for your encouragement on the Instagram space, and I will be following you. And safe travels.
As Steve said, don't shit in your pants today.
Don't shoot anywhere, especially in your pants.
And especially in your car while singing karaoke.
Well, that's not it. Yeah, that's a
good advice to bear in mind.
All right. Thank you, guys. For those watching replay, there's some nuggets in this one. There's some nuggets. We're definitely going to pull out some stuff. You can't cut and paste a human life. That's big. Thank you.
My social media clip is a horse walks into a bar.
Why the long face?
because you're charging 15 pounds a lager.
There you go.
You could have combined both jokes. You should have combined. Steve, why the long face? With prices like these, it's hard to.
It's hard to smile. Said the horse.
Right. There you go. Swatted him. All right, cool, guys. Thank you. Take care. We'll see you soon.
Bye.